Heartbreak the moment Sam Heughan cried, when Caitriona Balfe called him weak. In the Scottish Highlands, the wind swirled through the hills like a breath of memory. The afternoon light fell on the empty studio where the cameras had quietly rested after a long day. Sam Heughan sat quietly on the stone steps, clutching a cold paper cup. The smell of coffee mixed with the smell of earth and grass, but it did not dispel the emptiness in his heart. They had just finished filming a heavy scene, the farewell scene between Jamie and Claire. A scene that seemed so familiar, but today, everything was different. Not because of the lighting, nor because of the dialogue, but because of Caitriona's gaze, cold and distant, as if it no longer belonged to the co-star he once knew so well. She put down the script and sighed. Sam, do you see? Everything keeps repeating itself. Every scene is the same emotions. Are you afraid of something? Sam looked up, his voice hoarse. I'm not scared, it's just, sometimes I want to keep something more real. Not just acting anymore. Caitriona chuckled, but the smile was no longer as warm as before. More real? Then why do you keep avoiding it? Why don't you tell the truth when people ask? When I ask? Her words were like a small knife, stabbing into the fragile calm he still tried to maintain. He knew what she was referring to, their relationship, something neither of them had ever named. For years, they had lived on the fragile line between co-star and confidant, between real and fake, to the point where they themselves couldn't tell which was the role and which was the person. You know we can't, he started to say, but Caitriona interrupted. Can't, or don't you dare? Her voice dropped, her eyes flashing with deep disappointment. The studio fell silent. A cold wind blew, carrying the scripts. Sam stood up, but his legs felt like they were stuck. In that moment, he realized that there were things that could not be saved, not because of others, but because of his own weakness. He did not answer, and it was the silence that made her turn away. Caitriona left the set without looking back. There was only the sound of the wind whistling through the pine trees, and Sam, the man who had played a warrior, who had endured all the pain on screen, now sat silently, his eyes wet. No one had filmed this scene, but perhaps this was the most real moment of his life. The silence of the walls. That evening, he returned to his small apartment in Glasgow. The lights were off, only the faint light from the window cast on the walls. On the table was a photo taken with Caitriona the day they received their first BAFTA, the two of them smiling brightly, holding the golden statuette. He looked at it for a long, long time. Weak. The word rang in his head like a bell falling into an abyss. Sam had thought himself strong. He was the stereotypical Scottish man, tall, self-possessed, enduring. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that everything Caitriona had said was true. He avoided it. He chose safety, silence, over facing his true feelings. Because he was afraid of losing her, afraid of losing the world they had built together. The phone rang. A message from her. We have a scene together tomorrow. I hope you'll be more real. Not just in the role. Sam didn't answer. He folded the phone back, sat in the dark. In his mind, he saw her, brown hair, determined eyes, a voice both soft and sharp as a knife. He had thought he understood her, but perhaps he never had. And now, between them, there was no longer familiarity, but a painful silence. The next morning, it was raining lightly. Drops of rain slid down the windshield as Sam arrived at the studio. No one spoke to him, but he could feel everyone's eyes on him, a strange silence, as if they knew something had broken between the two stars of Outlander. Caitriona was sitting in the makeup room, her eyes fixed on the window, not turning when he entered. Good morning, Sam said softly. Hello, she replied, her voice cold. Did you sleep? Not much. And she said softly, didn't sleep at all. The makeup artist glanced at the two of them, then deftly left the room, leaving a heavy void. I didn't want it to turn out like this, Sam said. I know. Caitriona put down her brush and turned to look at him. You always say that, but you never do anything about it. You just say it. What do you want me to do? Tell the press? Confess everything? Ruin our careers? No, Sam, I just want you to be honest with yourself. Sam fell silent. She moved closer, her eyes meeting his, familiar eyes, now distant. Do you know what frustrates me the most? What is it? That you're afraid of the truth. You think you're protecting everyone by staying silent, but you're just hiding. I don't need a perfect man, Sam. I just need someone who's honest. But you're too weak for that. The words, again, stabbed deeper than the night before. Sam felt all her strength drain away. She turned away, leaving him standing there, like a statue forgotten in the rain. Night in the Highlands. That evening, the crew moved to the Highlands to film an important scene, Jamie and Claire facing each other after a long separation. The scene was filled with grey clouds, wet grass, and a strong wind. Everyone was busy preparing, except for Sam and Caitriona, who stood far apart, each in their own world. The director shouted, "Ready, action." Sam stepped forward, his eyes burning, facing her. "Claire," he said, his voice trembling but full of emotion. Caitriona responded in character, but in each word, there was a real part of herself. You left when I needed you most. You were afraid to see the truth in my eyes, weren't you? Sam was speechless. Every line suddenly became real. No longer an act. He looked at her, and felt tears welling up in his eyes, not Jamie Fraser's, but Sam Heughan's own. You're right, he said quietly, off script. I was scared. I was scared that if I faced you, I would lose you. And I did. The director didn't cut. The crew was silent. The camera kept rolling, capturing that moment, the moment when Sam was no longer an actor. He was a man falling apart. Tears fell, slowly, heavily. He tried to hide them, but he couldn't. Caitriona looked at him, her eyes softening. For a moment, she was no longer Claire, but an old friend, someone who believed in him more than anyone. Sam, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'm sorry, he replied. The scene ended. But no one dared to say, cut. Everyone stood still, as if afraid to ruin the moment so real. When the director finally spoke, Sam turned away, wiping away tears, and Caitriona just stood there watching him walk into the mist. In the evening, they sat together by the small fire. No more cameras, no more audience. Sam started, do you ever think, if we weren't actors, would things be different? She smiled softly, maybe. But maybe not. Because we always have roles in life. I want to escape, Sam said. I want to stop being afraid. So let's start, she said softly. By not hiding anymore. The words were like a small string, pulling him closer to the light.